Thank you all for coming along this afternoon to this webinar here today that we're putting on for you on how to increase your RMM revenue with Apple devices. So recently with the recently Enable put on a conference called Empower, which was an online conference, and they shared this content on how to increase your revenue with Apple devices, and they went through why some of the MSPs today aren't actually leveraging being able to support Mac devices, why they aren't doing it. And some of the conversations that I've had with some of the resellers here at Soft Solutions are also in that same sort of predicament. And there's various reasons why they don't support the Mac devices, various reasons that I've heard. And I thought, well, we thought at the team here at SoftSol to put on a webinar that can help you, if you're an RMM user, to be able to support those Mac devices through the RMM and how you can leverage all that. So thanks a lot for coming along this afternoon. I hope you get some value out of it. And yeah, let's move along. So as most of you guys know on the call here, my name is Rainesh. I'm a sales engineer here at Soft Solutions. And I've been here for a year now, spoken to many of you guys, really enjoying the sales role here. Came from a desktop support background back at a reseller that I used to work for. And yeah, looked ahead in my career and thought, what else can I do in this industry other than going down the line of a sysadmin or a network admin or something like that? I thought I want to do something else, something different, but in the same thriving industry that we're in. So I thought I'll try my hand at sales, and then I ended up at Soft Solutions. I haven't looked back. I can see myself going further in sales in this career. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy talking to you guys about how you can leverage the Enable products to be able to help support your clients with their IT needs, and also help with monetizing the product to be able to increase your revenue with it. So really enjoyed talking to you guys about all the stuff, and yeah, thanks for being part of my journey so far. So we didn't advertise this, but we got quite an overwhelming response with this webinar. We got quite a few registrants, and we thought we've got some Mighty 8 vouchers that we'd like to pass along through to you guys. So just look out for some of the. I'm going to ask 3 questions at the end of this webinar. So let's see who's paying attention, and by the end of it, I'll ask the 3 questions, and whoever answers first. Within the chat box within the questions box in the GoToWebinar thing, they'll be the ones that win the voucher. So yeah, answer the questions once I answer it to you. Answer it in the questions section, not the chat section, so we can keep track of who answered first. And yeah, we can go from there. We'll send those $70 Mighty 8 vouchers out to 3 lucky people. So let's get started with the webinar and ask that question and pose the question through to you guys. Why do Mac devices go unmanaged? There's many reasons why they do go unmanaged. So on the left-hand side of the slide, I'm going to look at the common reasons. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to look at using the Enable RMM to combat the reason why you wouldn't use that, why you wouldn't support those Mac devices. So the first thing is that it's not part of your core competency. So there are many people out there in the world that are familiar with Windows devices. They've used them for years now, for decades even. And if you put them out in front of a Mac and ask them to do a task, they'll be a fish out of water. I've got personal experience with this myself. I used to use Windows computers for a long time, and then I had to print something at uni. There was only a Mac available to do so, and I just didn't know how to do it. And so if that's what a end user feels like, then a technician is going to feel the same sort of thing. So the people I've heard of, people who own MSPs who have been working since the 80s, 90s, and have been using Windows since then, but put a Mac in front of them and they're just not willing to touch it because they don't have that much experience supporting the device. It's not their core competency, so they don't want to support that device. So with the Enable RMM, they're trying to make it so that with the workflows that you use to support your Windows devices, you're able to do the same thing for your Mac devices as well. So make your life a little bit easier for being able to support those Mac devices so that you don't have to be an expert in supporting Macs. You can leverage the RMM tool to use the standard workflows that you'll support your Windows devices to be able to use that for the Mac devices as well. Another reason is that most clients would use mostly Windows devices. They don't usually use Mac devices. Why would I bother supporting the one or two Mac devices when they're not when they're not needed to be supported? I can just leave them and just not support them. So the uptake, so this is an American statistic here, the uptake of Mac devices is 55% of businesses are using some sort of Mac device. And I would say that in New Zealand, there's a lot of businesses leveraging more Mac products as well. Just think of any business that you've got, they usually use the iPads as kiosks to be able to capture information from customers. Potentially they give the iPad to the customer to be able to fill out some details, fill out surveys, sign up for things and things like that as well. So being able to remotely wipe these machines when they remotely wipe these machines, and being able to lock these machines, reset the pin for these things is quite important. So the RMM will enable you to do these things within the RMM platform. Maybe in the past you've had some tool set limitations that you're not able to actually use you'll need like a specialist product to be able to support these Mac devices. But the way that the Enable RMM is going is that they really want to compete with those specialist RMMs out there that are especially for Mac devices, and make RMM the one-stop shop for being able to support both your Windows and your Mac devices, your network devices, the whole shebang. They want to be able to support all of it. They want you to be able to support all of your devices. And they're really putting a lot of investment in being able to support Mac devices. So yeah, that's how you can leverage the RMM to be able to support those Mac devices, and they're putting quite a bit of investment into it. And lastly, being able to convince your customers to purchase those Mac devices. Maybe they're reluctant to buy them, but utilizing the Enable pricing and being able to package things in a deal and providing them with training. You could even charge your customers for training to how to use Mac devices. Then yeah, that's all things that you can do to be able to convince your customers to buy more Mac products if you want to support them in that. So what is the opportunity for being able to support Macs? You can increase your revenue, gain a competitive advantage against your competitors, and things like that. You don't have to in the past you'd have to be a specialist to be able to support Mac devices, but you don't have to do that anymore. And you can put more devices within your RMM portal, capture more revenue. And yeah, that's basically overall what the opportunity that you're going to get from being able to support those Mac devices. It gives you a chance to enhance security as well. If there's one or two, there's like an urban legend out there that Macs don't get viruses, but we all know that that is untrue. It's got an operating system, it's got hardware, it's hardware. There is a threat that it can be attacked. If you can get attacked from an IoT fish tank or like pacemaker, for example, and those are vulnerabilities into your network, then how much would an unmanaged Mac that hasn't been patched in a while be a threat to your business, threat to your customer's network? And lastly, you can also gain a competitive advantage against your competitors out there who aren't willing to touch Macs because they don't want to. If you're supporting both Mac and Windows devices, then you're getting that competitive advantage because yeah, you'll be the one-stop shop for that customer to be able to support those devices. So what's at stake for not supporting Mac devices? The first thing could be data loss. If there's a device failure and there's only one or two users within that site that don't use the Mac and it goes down, then they can lose the data on their machine. Yes, you got Time Machine, but that shouldn't be your only redundancy. You can leverage the Enable RMM to be able to do file and folder backups on those Mac devices, so that your machine that data is sitting on the cloud for you to restore when you need to. And if there's a total theft or destruction of that Mac device, then all the data isn't lost. There's also an inherent security risk, like I mentioned earlier before, and if you're not patching those Mac devices and there's one or two of them out there on your client's network, it can be a threat. So that could be a potential thing that you want to clamp down on. And lastly is client loss as well. So if you're asking your clients to be able to go to somebody else to do the Mac support because you're not willing to support those Mac devices, then more than often, then the client wants one vendor to be able to support all of their devices. So they'll probably be looking to that person that you've forwarded it onto to be able to support all of their devices. So just like you wouldn't let someone you shouldn't let your devices be in the hands of another technician because they might take all of your business as a result. So what does Mac management look like within the RMM? So it's like a one-stop shop for you to be able to support all your Windows and your Mac solutions or your Mac devices at scale. If you need to, you can quickly jump into the Enable RMM portal, jump into use the take control to be able to remote into machines and be able to fix anything on the machine that the customer is having issues with, maybe their Outlook or the SharePoint or things like that. And also, if you're savvy with the remote background, you can use remote background. If you're savvy with the terminal for Macs, if you know about all the commands and stuff like that, then you're able to push those commands out to those Mac devices. And as a result, you'll be able to support those Mac devices. Yeah, you'll be able to push those and push commands out to Mac devices and do what you need to with them as well. Also, you'll be able to utilize automation within the RMM to be able to do some scripting and do some sort of dual list, be able to automate the routine tasks on those Mac devices as well. And lastly, you'll be able to reduce the anxiety around patching. So I know patching can be a massive pain point for you resellers because when you're patching things up, you're trying to fix things, make sure that it's all up to date, but there is a risk of things breaking as well. So it's good that Enable constantly tests those patches for the Mac devices, and they test it out before it gets deployed onto an end device. And I'll show you a little bit more about that in the demo later on. So backup for Mac devices, like I mentioned before, you can do the RMM backup RMM integrated backup for Mac machines. So imaging on a Mac is almost impossible because of the chips that are within the Mac devices. File and folder recovery is probably the best thing that you can do. Time machine it comes close, but it's not like it shouldn't be your only redundancy. It's the closest you're sort of going to get to a bare metal restore for a Mac device. And also the RMM supports Apple-centric formats like keynotes, numbers, pages, and things like that as well. Also, you're able to protect your Mac devices via Bitdefender. So with the antivirus that Enable uses, it's Bitdefender. That's the engine that they use to be able to protect those Mac devices, protect all your Windows and Mac devices. Initially, Enable was skeptic to be able to offer Bitdefender through to Mac devices because they thought, they won't get the same functionality as being able to do what you can do in Windows as you can in Mac, and it's probably just going to slow the machine down for no reason. The same value that you're going to get from Windows, you're not going to get on Mac if you put Bitdefender on it. That's what they thought initially. But when came time to do their testing, they were surprised they didn't really notice Bitdefender on the Mac machine, and they got quite a bit of utility out of it, so they were happy with that. And also, when it came down to doing their testing, they thought, okay, the most common threat that you can put on a Mac is a Trojan. And when they tried to put a Trojan on the machine to be able to test it to see how it reacts with Bitdefender on that Mac device, before they could even execute the Trojan in the form of a zip file, they tried to double-click the zip file, but Bitdefender had picked up that it was already that was a threat, so it had removed that zip file altogether. And before the technician even had a chance to double-click it, they weren't able to move on to the next. They weren't able to execute that. They weren't even able to open that zip file, which was really good, and it worked very quickly. So yeah, you get quite a bit of benefit with protecting a Mac device with the managed antivirus on there. So with the way that Apple want their things monitored, the way they want things to be, their devices to be updated in bulk is done by a particular way. Now, the way they want it done is to be able to push Apple configuration profiles across different devices to be able to do different things with those devices. Now, you can leverage this through Apple Server. Apple Server has this functionality to be able to create configuration profiles and be able to push it down to Apple devices. But Enable know that, well, they've stayed ahead of the game. They know this is the way that Apple wants their devices to be managed. So they've offered the same functionality within the Enable RMM. What it constitutes of is being able to generate a certificate and uploading it through to the RMM. Then you'd use a third-party tool to be able to create these configuration profiles. And an example of this is that if you wanted to change something like turn off the camera within a device, an iPhone or something like that, then you, in the configuration profile, you make the changes to be able to edit that and make it so that that is so. And then you'd export it from that third-party application and import it into your RMM, and then from there, shoot out that configuration policy to the Mac devices that you need to. And just a disclaimer, I wanted to try and demo this for you, but I won't be able to demo it for you because there's quite a few steps that you need to do outside of one machine. You'd have to generate the Apple certificate from an Apple device, I believe. And also you'd have to create a configuration policy using a third-party application. So I'll send you, everyone who's attended this webinar here today, I'll send out a short video showing the steps on how you can do that after this webinar, and you can go and have a play around with it and see how awesome that feature is, and to be able to manage those Mac devices. And within the demo, I'll show you where you can make those changes as well. So just going back to what you can achieve from this, how it helps you with those Apple configuration profiles, helps you with your efficiency. It's fast setup of all of your devices, being able to easily configure multiple devices across a network of all the devices within the network of a client that you might have. It increases your visibility so that you can see all of the devices all the Mac devices that your customers may have and who it belongs to, and also allows for greater control. So it lets you do things like remotely lock, set passcodes, or wipe devices across the RMM dashboard. Cool, so I'm just going to jump into a very quick demo for you guys, running a little bit short of time, so give me a sec. Here we go, so you should be able to see my RMM screen now. Yep, awesome. Okay, so this is the Enable RMM portal that I'm logged into. So yeah, this is the Enable RMM portal that I'm logged into. I can see, if I want to see all of my Mac devices, I can do so quickly by going to Monitor Devices. Click on the filter here and I'll go to Mac OS. So I can see all of the Mac devices that I can that we have within our network here at SoftSol, my colleague Chris, and my personal one that I do some testing on. Also, if I wanted to see all the Mac devices within my RMM console, I'll click on this left-hand side here and click on overview. Once I scroll down a little bit, I can see the devices by main operating system. I'll click on this button here, and it's going to create a custom view for me to see all of the Mac devices within the RMM portal. If I want to add checks to it, so basically what I'm trying to get at in this demo is that the same workflows that you're going to use for your Windows devices, you're going to be able to apply the same concepts and things to your Apple devices as well. So you can add your checks to your Mac devices. You can see that the checks are looks a little bit different. Say, for example, I want to add a daily safety check. You can see that there's like an Apple system log check or an OS X update check that you can add on to that machine. So it looks a little bit different. It's picked up that the operating system's a Mac operating system, so the checks look a little bit different. Just to backtrack one step, if you want to push the agent out to the Mac device, you can do so with downloading a Mac agent. Most of you guys will probably know this by now, but you can do that. And then get it onto the end machine, install the agent onto that device, and it's going to appear here on the RMM dashboard for you. Now, an important thing is being able to patch your devices. So if you want to patch your Mac devices, it's done via an automated task. So if I click on my machine and I click on task down the bottom and I click add automated task, then I can go to run managed patch and click next. And this is how you'll do the patches for your devices. Now, there's two settings that you need to be aware of, which is production. Production is that is after the patch has been thoroughly tested by the enable team, then they release that, and then it's going to go through to your machine. But if your customer requires the bleeding edge, if they want it to be updated as soon as possible, they see that and then they're jumping up and down that they need it, then it's going to go into testing, but there's no guarantees that things are going to break as a result of it. Just a disclaimer that if you're on the Mac OS Big Sur, then it's always going to be on production. You can either choose testing or production, but it's always going to be tested before it shoots out to the Big Sur operating system. And a couple of other things here as well. You can run the script if the user's logged out. So if you want the script to run while the user's logged out, then it's going to run then. And you can hide the notification when the script is run as well, so that they don't see it. Now I can then choose the time that I can apply these patches to the machines. And once I click finish, then it's going to create that task for me there that is going to run whenever I've defined whenever I want it to run. So if I right click on my machine and I click on monitoring templates and click create a monitoring template, I can include the tasks that I've created down here. So this is going to be patch management for all of my Mac machines. I can rename it. I can create, it can be template for Rainesh's MacBook Air, and I can put this monitoring template onto some devices of mine. If I could cancel here and go down here, and I can see all my sites that I've created. Say for one of my sites, I put only all of the Mac devices within that site. If I right click on the site, and then apply a monitoring template, then if all my Mac machines are on that site, then I'll be able to deploy all my Mac devices. I can deploy that monitoring template to my Mac devices as well. So similarly to all of the Windows workflows, so patch management, for example, if I click on feature policy and click edit of feature policy, not feature policy, sorry. If I click on protection policy for managed antivirus and click edit, there are a few things on here. So you can have your Windows and your Mac devices within the same site. There are some things like behavioral scanning that's not available for Mac devices. So that policy is just going to ignore applying that to their Mac device, but it's going to apply it to all of your Windows devices. So that's just showing you that you don't have to have, you can have your different machines on the same site, and it's going to do most similar thing. And lastly, the Apple device management, which I was talking to before. Here's where you're going to be uploading an Apple certificate. This is what it looks like. You can see that I've got quite a few days to renew it. And from here is where you can do the profile library and upload the profiles that you create via a third-party application onto the RMM. And here is where you can deploy that profile as well. So I'll be sending you guys a video after this, very short video on how you can do it. And from there, you'll be able to figure out how to do the Mac configuration policies. And yeah, so thanks a lot for coming along. If you've got any questions, pop them into, if you've asked any questions within the questions area, then we'll answer them after, or we'll take it offline and I'll send you an email regarding it. But yeah, thanks a lot for coming along, and I hope you guys have a great day.